Welcome to the Coaching Book Club podcast, the show that empowers coaches through books. I'm Christy Stuber, here with my friend and co-host Ken McKeller, and today we're talking about Cultivating Coachability by Clare Norman. This book sharpens how we as coaches can foster deep, independent thinking in our clients. And here's what you can expect in this episode. First, we'll start with a quick overview of the book. Next, we'll break down some key takeaways that stood out to us and share how you can apply these insights to your coaching practice. And then Ken and I will explore how we're going to connect these concepts to our real-world coaching challenges. Whether you've read this book before or are hearing about it for the first time, you'll leave with actionable insights to strengthen your skills. Let's get started. Hi, Ken.
Hey, how you doing? How's it going?
Good. So, Ken, what was important about this book for you?
Oh, well, first of all, Heavy D. Heavy D, right? He's an artist, the late great Heavy D, that before I listen to any of his songs, I will go out and buy his album or his recordings or his disc. I would go out and buy it just without. I didn't have to. Hey, Heavy D has his album's out. Boom, I'm going to get it. Right. Um, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington. He has a movie. I don't need the previews. I'm going. Right. Viola Davis. Viola Davis has a movie. Boom, I'm going. Right. I don't have to see the previews. You don't have to talk about it. I just know that she has something coming out. For me, Clare Norman is in that category for me as far as writing books and the material that she has coming out. Because when she did the transformational coach, boom, I loved it. When she did the mentor coaching, a practical guide, I was like, oh, we. And now this book right here, is the next level. So what she writes, I'm gonna I'm gonna get it. Now I'm gonna have to go out and get that other book she has out there. Being a Sunbeam. I didn't read that. I'm gonna have to go check that out now because this book right here is a should be on every single coach's bookshelf.
Mhm. I agree with you. I mentioned, I think, in the first episode that The Transformational Coach is my favorite book that I've read lately by Clare Norman. And the reason why was it really aligned with how I want to think about coaching. I really like how she talks about um, coaching is we have a thinker, we have somebody, our client is doing the thinking, and we're
Mhm.
creating the space to do that. And then it's all about learning. And that learning element really resonates with one of my values and one of my strengths about how much I love to learn. So, so I agree with you. This book came out and I picked it up, and I also was like, oh my gosh, this is changing, further shifting how I'm thinking about my responsibility as a coach when working with my clients, including my responsibility to communicate that with my clients, even before I start working with them. The quote that she says in this book that I loved so much is the coach doesn't run the race, the athlete does. And so we as coaches aren't the thinkers. We need to support the thinking process. And that quote, I just continues to sit in my head as I find myself wanting to jump in with my clients, with what I think about what's going on or how I want to process what they're saying. And then stopping myself to say, nope, it's not my thinking that matters. It's their thinking that gets them where they want to go. So, Ken, can we
So
dive into some more takeaways from the book?
yeah, we can go ahead and get into that. Shoot, I thought that's what we were doing.
Yeah, well, we are now. So,
Let's well, even kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, as far as the thinking, I mean, I don't know if we're doing Nancy Klein's work or not, A Time to Think, but I mean that Nancy Klein sees that person as the thinker, and I think Claire Norman has gotten some of that wording from Nancy Klein, and it fits beautifully. Um, So, I mean, the biggest thing that I got from this particular book is, first of all, folks, read the book because we we're going to give you little crumbs crumbs, a half a crumb of what this book has to offer. So read the book. But I
Mhm.
mean, readiness. I mean, the whole concept of instead of coachability, we just go right into coachability. But what I like what she does, he said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Ken! Before we determine coachability, let's back up a step or two, and let's talk about readiness and what that looks like. And this is before the coaching starts, right? The information that the thinker has been provided, the information through however they're coming, whether they're coming from a platform, whether they're coming from your own personal thing, or whether they're coming from a different stakeholder, like what kinds of information and conversation about coaching have they been given to be ready for coaching? And I was like, stand up, slow clap, ovation. All right, all right. That's one of my we only even crumbs, right? So that's a
Right.
half a crumb.
It's true about the crumbs because this book is so full of tools and resources that I'm going to find really useful in my practice to adapt and make mine. But the key takeaway for me was about readiness. That was my number one that I had on my list. Um, I really love this quote, coaching readiness isn't passive or reactive. You know, that we have a role in helping our clients get ready. Um, this is competency 3.1, right? Explains what coaching is and is not and describes the process to clients and stakeholders. And I think about how many times I sort of make the assumption people know if they're coming to me for coaching, they know what coaching is. And I don't always slow that process down to check in on that to see what they think it's going to be, so we can make sure that we're aligned on it.
Yeah, that was big for me too. I
Mhm.
like that. What I also like is the coach's role and a thinker's role, right? She said a couple times in the book, the coach is in charge of the process, the thinker is in charge of the content and the value. you know, I mean, she said that in one chapter of ooh, I know where she stand. Claire, I know where you stand on that, right? The value belongs of what this person's going to get out of the session, what they want to bring to the session, how they want to navigate the session, all that is the thinker, right? So at the end of the session, Coach Ken's not going to say, yeah, I really made that happen. No, you didn't. If you're saying that, then you got to rethink. Oh, uh, let me just say real quick. One of the other things that I loved about this book was the reflections after every chapter, right? And she says one cool thing of, and even like how that hits up against your values, and that gave me an opportunity to disagree or to explore in a different way with what I just read in that chapter. I was like, now I am being not only educated, but taking this education for a test spin. How does it work in my coaching thinking? How will I use it? What kind of alterations do I need to make this suit of coaching fit on my style of being a coach?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. It's not, I love that too. It's not about you have to do it a certain way. I mean, Claire's an MCC for a reason, right? And she's demonstrating that even through the book that she wrote is I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to give you some things to think about, and you can then decide what works for you. Um, that's what I love about the tools in the book. I'm really can't wait to pull them out and start figuring out how to make them suit me to your metaphor you used before. What do I need to tailor? What do I need to let out? You know, what maybe needs to change now, but maybe changes again in a year because I've changed. Um, I really, I think the thing that is really connecting for me as you're talking is one of the concepts in the book about coaching as a learning experience and that needs to be rooted in adult learning principles. And I think because I mentioned how the transformational coach stood out to me because it really framed coaching as learning and it's a way I talk to people. And it really connects to my one of my top Clifton strengths, which is a learner. And so for me to see coaching structured through a learning principle evolution makes it make sense in my brain and then makes it easier for me to explain. I also understand that doesn't work for everybody, and I'm not attached to that for other people. But for me, it felt like, oh, this makes sense. And one of the key points of this is that it is reflective and it's generative. Um, So there's a parallel process going on here as I'm talking, I'm realizing between how I'm learning, how I'm thinking about coaching, and how I want to create coaching environments for my clients to learn about themselves. How does any of that resonate with you?
Don't steal the thinker's learning by jumping in with your own insights.
Mm,
That's one of the quotes from the book, right?
hmm
That's what stands out. I
hmm
mean, allowing that process to unfold
hmm
and by getting out of the way. I like what Nancy Klein says in her book. One of her quotes was, is what you have to say more important about what they are about to think? Yeah. I mean, sometimes you give an offering of a question and you step out the way and you let it cook. Let it
hmm
cook.
It's such a gift for our clients, our communities, our worlds to help other people learn how to think for themselves. I that's really for me resonating with me as almost as like my purpose statement for why I do coaching, which is I want to help other people learn to trust their inner wisdom and think for themselves. And I think the world will be better off for it. Um, Ken, the third takeaway was something that you and I were talking about before we started recording, which was chemistry sessions and redefining those as compatibility meetings. And I also really love this idea that it doesn't have to be about choosing to work with somebody isn't about just the gut instinct. There might be something there, but it's not just about that feeling you get. It's also, can I collaborate and partner with this other person in a thinking space? Again, really reframed how I think about those initial sessions, meeting with somebody. It's not about do they like me in air quotes. It's about do they think they can work with me to help them achieve their goals and vice versa. I need to think about how I can work with the other person.
And another thing that she does is she does provide language and kind of more thinking around how to have these compatibility meetings, like what to say and who should have the compatibility meetings. Whether it's a stakeholder, and what that looks like, whether it is you as representing your brand or your company. So that was. Let me pause here and say generous. I mean, this whole Clare Norman is generous in her offerings. She's generous in the templates that she gives out. She's generous in the work that she's producing. She's generous in even her appreciation to the other people that's in this field that she pulls from and gives credit to and gives insight to. So you can also bounce and go see their work, everybody's work. I mean, that generosity is just um, it's inspiring.
In full disclosure, Claire Norman is mentoring me right now. And that's how I experience her as a mentor as well, as so generous, which gives me the space to continue my learning as a coach and my skill development. So, Ken, what are you?
Wait. Question, real quick. How did
Yeah.
you how did you how did you come to learn about Claire Norman?
Oh, friend, you know the answer to this.
I want them to know. I want them to know.
Yes, Ken McKeller, you introduced me to Claire first with the book, The Transformational Coach. And I'm grateful to you, more than grateful to you for that.
Text you in the middle of the night. You gotta read this book. You gotta read this book. Yeah, I got a cover book she said about. No, no, let this one but the line. You got to read this book. I said, I don't know. You got to read this book. And then you text me back. Hey, book. This is oh my goodness. Yeah, that
No,
was this.
you were absolutely right to do all that because it did. That book really made a shift for my brain, especially as I'm still on my MCC journey, right? Working towards that next level of certification. The transformational coach shifted how I think about coaching. And this book, Cultivating Coachability, is is another step in that process for me. So, can we do want to talk about, or I want to talk about, how I'm going to apply this to my coaching practice? I'd love to hear from you. What are you going to be taking away? Well, not taking away, but what are you going to be actually applying to your coaching practice from the book?
No, I'm and let me explain, Lucy. Let me explain. Right. Uh, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So this is not a one-time read for me, and it's not a first-time understanding for me. There's some stuff I want to go back, like tri-party, like that whole concept. I want to go back and reread and really engage in it. There's some stuff that I like, but it's not quite me. So I want to explore how can I engage in that, build a relationship with that thinking so it becomes a part of my coaching DNA. So, man, I really have to give this thing a reread and sit with it a little bit differently because I was reading for education and I'm a Claire fan, so some entertainment too, right? Now, when I go back and read it, I'm reading it for personal coaching transformation. How does this change Ken McKeller as a being, not a coach, but as a being? And that is what I want to go back because, I mean, that her thinking is layered not just in the arena of coaching, but also in the arena of navigating life.
As always, such wise thoughts that I really hadn't even considered. I was going very tactical with what I was going to take away. And I'm still going to go there. I'm also going to layer on what you said about this isn't just for coaching. This can be for any kind of relationship I'm entering into in any part of my life. Specifically, I'm thinking a lot about the tools that she provided for my coaching intake and compatibility meetings. The ones that come to me directly, my clients. Also thinking about a coaching program that I manage where I support the coaches who get connected to students in a master's program at the University of Pittsburgh. And thinking about that process, how can we build some of the things that I learned from Claire into that process to encourage more coaching readiness from the students and a more clear handoff when we make the match between the student and the coach so that they can get started maybe a little bit more smoothly in that relationship. Uh, I'm just going to end my thoughts with this quote from the book, which I think is also really powerful. She says, clients who understand and embrace their role as thinkers will experience deeper, more sustainable change. And I think about how many clients come to me and want me to think for them, and how if I can set them up to understand they are the thinker and then support them in that journey, they're going to get what they want in a more sustainable way. Any last comments from you before we wrap up for today?
Well, I know folks listen to podcasts, and as a result of a lot of times, they go out and get the books and they read the books, and they have a lot of good things to say about the books. I'll also invite folks to reach out and leave leave a what is it? What am I thinking?
I think you're asking people to leave comments maybe on our LinkedIn page or
Yes,
reviews
leave
on review
right, right.
sites.
Okay, yeah. Well, I invite people to leave comments on our page, leave reviews on the author's page, and let people know how this work is impacting them.
Mhm. Definitely, I love to hear from our audience on what they're taking away. So for today, this wraps up our discussion on applying cultivating coachability to real world coaching. We've covered some powerful insights from Clare Norman, from redefining our role as coaches to making our client journey more intentional. And we hope these takeaways have sparked new ideas for your practice and inspired you to dig deeper into this incredible resource. Thank you again for spending your time with us today. Your commitment to learning and growth is what this podcast is all about. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the Coaching Book Club podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. We'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. Follow us for even more coaching insights and updates about upcoming episodes. And we're always on the lookout for new books to review. So if you have a favorite coaching book that's made an impact on you, let us know. Maybe it'll be featured in an upcoming episode. Thanks for being part of our community. And until next time, happy coaching.